Okay, we're gonna get going because my mom and I are talking about her perky earlobes.
Perky earlobes.
So thanks for coming back to Inspired Caring in this episode. We're gonna talk about more than just perky earlobes. This is our third session episode?
Let's go.
Episode. Yes. Third in the series around aging. Next level aging.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah. So this episode, we thought it would be fun to talk about some of the fun stuff that my mom has done, Deborah, over the years, to help her feel and look her best. Is that a fair statement?
Also to be comfortable as well. I mean, I'm going to go, yes, but definitely, the stuff that you did when you were 50, the stuff you do when you're 60, in your 60s and your 50s, they don't necessarily translate all that well. As your hair color changes and, your skin tone may change. My hands have changed.
Right.
And this kind of thing. And I've had now a fair number of surgeries on my legs, weirdly. Nothing major.
Not a butt lift.
No, this is not the fun. That would be a fun thing. Well, I wouldn't do it, but I would need an enhancement really more than so so when I retired, and I was 66 when I retired, I actually had my colors done again.
So let's talk about what does that mean to have your colors done? Because I've had it done, and then you just treated my girls to also having it done. So what does that mean?
So basically, you go into a store and you buy something because you think it's so darn cute. And you put it on in the dressing room and it fit. So you buy it and take it home. And everyone says, that's a really nice dress. They don't say, oh my God, you look fabulous.
Ooh,
see what I mean?
Yeah,
exactly. Gee, that's a really nice dress. Where'd you get it? Blah, blah, blah. But they never see the package. And otherwise, you call in your friendly style and makeup and color consultant, and you say, let's go through my colors, and then let's go through my closet if you have the kind that I had. And so they take swatches of cloth. Usually they put a neutral cape around you, and then they're looking to see how that color brings out skin tones, colors. How does it make you look? And they're trained to do this, so that it's not sort of a guess, but it's to see, like, if you, like, some people, like, yellow can either be a fantastic color for a person, or it can be make you look a little bit like you're 1918 and have the flu,
Right, washed out. You know what? I think my color swatches are right here at my fingertips.
Yes, good.
Let me grab. So I am, so they go by seasons, and I am an autumn. And what are you?
I'm also an autumn.
You're also an autumn. And then one of my daughters just had hers done. So after they put the fabric on you, they send you home with swatches. And if you were watching this on YouTube, you can see me holding up. So to your point about yellow, not all yellows are created equal and equal for everybody.
And I feel like yellow is the reason I bring it up is I think it's kind of a controversial color, because it can make your skin probably look green if it's not the right color for you. And the other thing you notice on yours, you don't have any white in there.
Right.
And I don't know where you are on the purple spectrum.
And you did this when you retired. So this was.
I did do it again when I retired because I had, so there you go. So like a little bit of a not a purple, but some with some tones to it.
Yeah.
And within those tones, you can kind of go up or down a little bit. I don't know if your colorist said that or not, but you might see something that doesn't match exactly, but it's in the same color tone.
Yeah.
You'll probably be okay. Anyway, I had done it years and years ago, and I had taken you girls and
I
had you,
remember. Yeah.
yeah. And it was a fairly complex system, that one was. It had, this is if you want to make an impression, you wear this color, wear red into meetings, and so on and so forth. So this one is like mine are like yours, just little strips of cloth with different colors on it. And it just makes you look your best, is my thing. And when you hit a certain age and you're not feeling overly confident, at a certain point, you look at yourself in the mirror and you like, I look kind of washed out. Maybe your skin tone has faded a little bit. You just don't feel, when you look at yourself, you say, I'm not in love with what I'm seeing. And the goal here, I think my goal is to, when I look in the mirror, say, I like what I see.
Yes.
And
So
it's
go ahead.
very different than what I looked like 20 years ago. Now, in my case, I actually did decide to go gray, but I had a lot more dark in my hair and so on. So, basically, when you look at yourself and you're like, holy, when did this happen?
Right.
I went to sleep and I woke up looking like this. I don't want to do that. So, that would be a good time to enlist a team of, build your team.
Right.
So that you're feeling, so then you put on colors, different, you have outfits and things like that are in your colors, and people aren't saying, aren't you looking fabulous?
Right.
What do you mean you're 78?
Right. It changes the compliment a little bit. And it responds to the makeup too, right?
Yes, absolutely. And so, and I just wanted to mention this for women. There are also people who will, and it should be your colorist. If you choose to go gray, as I did, I had to fight my colorist on this because she said it wasn't in my color palette.
Oh, interesting. Wow. Yeah.
So, and I'm like, well, too bad, because I've done that for years and paid lots of money, and I'm not willing to do it. So that's what we have to work with, and we have to put makeup on to kind of make me not look too faded out and this kind of thing. And white is not good for me. It's just like, white is not a good color for me. Now, she also feels that black is not a good color for me. And I have, talked with other people in the fabric industry, and they were saying, well, like, what if you're wearing a scarf? See, there are things that you can do that you don't have to give up your LBD. I mean, nobody wants to give up the LBD, right? Little black dress. Little black dress. Right.
Well,
you stand by.
Yeah.
Yeah.
For years lived in New York.
Well, black was the color of New York,
Right. Like you move to New York, they remove all color quarter, whatever, wardrobe.
Yes.
You can't
Yeah,
stand
you know,
shoe
and so anyways, she looked in my closet and I was ready to give up my business uniform. I was in a uniform at that point. And so then we talked about the other thing my colorist did was I have a little booklet that shows, you know, like collars, dress shapes, you know, like skirt shapes, pants, what kind of shoes you should be wearing. So this is like a whole gestalt.
Yeah.
So that basically you can put something on, it's in your color and everything, but maybe it is not very flattering for your frame.
Right.
So, and it means like I don't have a waist. And as we were discussing earlier, I don't have, you know, a very curvy figure from any angle. I'm more of a flat, straight kind of person. So what kind of shapes I wear makes a big difference too. Now, not all things are created equal in that respect, but you know, like all colorists don't do everything, but this one did. And she would have recommended a hair color. And the reason I mention that is because I have a friend who always had jet black hair, and she would have that black hair often goes to pure gray, whereas mine, you know, is not. Mine's very nuanced, if you will. And she was not comfortable. My friend, who is now 81, she's not comfortable going gray, a whole white head of hair. It just reminds her too much of her mother or whatever, you know. And so, but they did help her choose another color for her hair other than the jet black. And here again, there's a lot of discretion here because you don't have to go with the color that, you know, Mother Nature gave you. I mean, she has more of a redhead look now. And I had another friend living in France who always had a page boy and was married to a man that was 15, 16 years younger than she was. And her hair would have been stark white as well. And so she colored her hair, and we had a long discussion about it where we were laughing. We were in our 40s and we were just howling on the phone because we're just like, we're the only women in Paris that would be even thinking about whether or not to color our hair. That would not even be a question.
Right.
Though I have to say, again, I recommend, well, I mean, okay, so there are colors. And then also we're talking about the makeup. And here, this can be quite a struggle because, like I've always recommended going into a store and going to, if you like a certain makeup, going to a certain makeup counter and having them do a makeover. And you're going to want to buy something from them. And sometimes that's a requirement or you pay them or whatever. But often as you get older, they're still slathering it on as if you're 65. And you're not 65 anymore. So it was interesting because I happened to stumble on a woman at the Clinique counter, actually, who gave me my current look, if you will, I bet she was in, at least in, I mean, looking at you, what I'm going to say is absurd, but I mean, she might have been in her 60s. I think she could have been in her 60s. Yeah, she must have been. Not, I was going to say 50s, but I don't think so. I think she was in her 60s. And the first thing she put on made me look like under the artificial lights, especially made me look yellow, made my skin look jaundiced. she didn't, she said she didn't see it. But then the next one was the color I'm wearing now. And then she took a very light moisturizer and cut the makeup in half
Oh, interesting.
with the moisturizer. So now what I do is I use the full tone as sort of a, you know, a blocking kind of mechanism. And then I mix and add it to it. But old faces are benefit from a little bit of shine, as opposed to, and then I have now these cheeks are like this because I wear a sleep mask. And it touches my cheeks, so I'm always kind of rosy cheeked. But I do have a very light sort of something to put on my cheeks, a color to put on my
Like
cheeks.
a blush, concealer.
It is like
blush?
a blush, but
Oh,
it's not your traditional blush anyway. It's a NARS product, I think, which I really like. Anyway, and then basically I kind of have backed off my eyelashes a bit. And I have a little bit on, but mostly I'm doing an eyeliner.
Okay.
Instead, because I feel like that does you know, give some emphasis to the eyes. But anyway, it's something to try to find somebody to work with. Now, one of the things I mentioned in the outline I gave you was for all the weddings that we've attended, the high-end weddings, I've gotten a makeup artist to come and do our makeup. And honestly, when I look at myself in the mirror, it scares me. I don't like it. But the pictures are fabulous.
Yeah.
The pictures are fabulous.
Yeah. It was the closest to, like, I think it feels safe to say this, but it felt like the closest for me to drag makeup because it was very,
oh, for sure. Or I tell you, you know,
heavy.
one of the popular things a few years ago, like a few decades ago, was doing the glam shots.
Glamour shot, yes.
Glamour shots, and that don't, you know, and so just, you know, basically saying, you know, and they would help you put on this whole makeup thing. So if you use that on, you know, on your dating profile, you know, the person when they met you would say, I want that person.
Right.
Where is that person?
I thought you were, and actually I'm getting new headshots, which kind of ties in with all of this because I had not gone to my natural color, which has streaks of silver. I'm getting new headshots, and I talked to her about makeup and how much to wear. And she thought, you know, going out on a Friday night and then maybe a little bit more. But so that just kind of circles back to the efforts that you've been making and having really nice picture of yourself, right? And have an up-to-date headshot. And I have beef with professionals constantly who have their 28-year-old photograph and their real estate agent on their business card. Like, embrace it so we're not confusing people.
Yeah, like you show up to meet your real estate agent and you're like, I think I have the wrong house. I think I have the wrong, So and I think it's possible to look your best and still look like yourself.
Yes. Oh, I like that.
And my recommendation here again is when you go in to have your driver's license picture taken, look your best. Put on the makeup. In fact, for my last passport picture, I stopped by Bobby Brown's booth. And I, you know, we had a little bit of a tussle because they wanted to put on more than I wanted, but I wanted it so that I could go and get my passport picture taken where I wouldn't, you know, feel like, and then we get into how much can you smile for the passport pictures.
Right.
Because again, there we go into our resting face often is quite formidable. And that's more or less what they're going for on the identity pictures, so that the CCTV cameras all over the world will recognize you.
Right, because we're not usually grinning ear to ear as we
That's
travel.
right. We're usually kind of grim-faced when we're, yeah. And
So-
my natural face is kind of down at the mouth.
Yeah,
I'm not mad,
right.
you know.
Resting face. Everybody just has a resting face.
Yeah. And so what I have practiced, and I recommend this in the mirror, especially as you get older too, because you're going to look like somebody's, ancestor if you if you're not careful, is to practice smiling with your eyes and a closed mouth smile. And
Okay.
usually they'll let you get away with it. They've always let me get away with it.
And this is just good in general, like when we have our resting face, right? Even when you're going through the grocery store,
Absolutely.
just thinking about your smile can make an interaction so much better, right?
Yes. When you're talking to a clerk and you're intently listening to what they're saying, the inclination is to
be intense.
put on your listening face, and and they're like looking and like, oh my God, did I, are you upset or whatever? So yes, that basically, it's just like smile a little, just, you don't have, and like when you go in for your passport picture or I just had my driver's license picture retaken, and my, up here in Canada, my health card picture. And they use the same picture. And I put about this much makeup on, no glasses, but I do have a little look like that. And she didn't say, stop that. She let me get away with it.
Well, so kind of part of all of this, because we were talking about hair color, is that you also have a great haircut.
There you go. That's the other thing too. When you're starting to feel a little bit like maybe, you shouldn't be living like you're in the 1960s. I mean, and it's like, I've seen some gray hair long that's very nice. So it can be done if that's your choice. But yeah, I mean, it's like going in, and here again, I'm like all about, I'm doing the Jamie Lee Curtis thing.
Yeah.
And that's what, there are some other actors out there, actresses with gray hair that I like, but I feel like she and I have a similar face. And when I was recently in the hospital for my very minor finger surgery, they put a cap on me. And it wasn't my color. The blue was not my color. No pictures, please. Whatever. So then when they were getting done and I was being helped into my clothes, the cap came off and the woman literally gasped. The nurse or the nurse's aide or whoever she was, she's like, oh my God, you have fabulous hair. It's just like sort of fluff and go. I mean, it's like you look like, you don't look like you slept in your hair last night, which I had. And then I said, yeah, it's the Jamie Lee Curtis look. And she was like, yes. So look around, check it out, see who you kind of want to look like.
Yeah, that's advice.
Yeah. And then use their hair color.
Right.
Decide. But basically, I just think it's a good idea to look around, look at magazines, check it out and see, kind of have an image. In my image, when I turned 50, as you know, which we've mentioned before, that's when I said, I want to see what my hair looks like, the color of my hair looks like. It was a little bit darker than this, had less of the, now it's got a lot more white in it. But I looked and looked before I did it to find a picture of a haircut that I thought would work well for me,
Mhm.
and took it into my hairstylist and showed it to her and said, what do you think? How would this look? And I had hair down to here at that point. And she said, yes, I think this is yes, I think it's a good look for you. And then that's what we worked toward over
Yeah.
the months while we were moving away from coloring my hair, and the time that takes and the money it takes.
Right.
But
It'd be
I
quite
just,
a process.
yeah, and I just recommend you, basically you hope to get to an advanced stage and think about what you want to look like,
Mhm.
and what you don't want to look like.
That's great advice. And part of it, so we've talked about hair and clothing colors, and skin tone changing, but
Glasses,
glasses is a big, yeah.
yeah. So, and these are, I've had these glasses for a long time. I just keep having the lenses changed. I have another pair that absolutely should not be on my face, but they're clear glasses. I think I wore them in the last session, but I want those I wore especially so that you could see my face. And they're in the photographs of the last wedding that we got all dolled up for.
Yeah.
So, and it's like, then in terms of clothes, I mean, I went from suits every day, suits and blouses, basically the whole time, because I was in a corporate finance setting,
Mhm.
an attorney with the wealthy clients and so on. So I was always dressed in low heels and business suits. And I had my colors done, but a lot of the suits were like navy blue,
Mhm.
you know. And then the blouses that you choose are basically colors that are not very flattering for me because they kind of wash me out. So I was able to abandon all of that, give those clothes to my colorist, who took them to that service that provides business clothes to people who can't afford it, that are trying to break in,
Yes.
who are, are on entry-level jobs in corporations, so that they can look professional.
Right.
So
So it sounds like you shifted your wardrobe to more match your color, your style, colors, your style, and your lifestyle.
my lifestyle, yes. I
Yeah.
mean, and eventually I've got rid of all my suits, but I've also made a move, because the last few times I've seen my knobby knees poking out from under skirts, I thought that is not a look that I want to see ever in a picture with my face on it.
Somebody else's knobby knees, but not your.
Somebody else's, but not mine. Yeah. And, kind of, and I would, for the two weddings before, I put actually makeup on my legs. There's that leg makeup.
Yeah.
And stockings, so that basically my legs would have some color to them, and I have good, nicely shaped legs, but they really kind of just are not something that really are a feature that I would like to emphasize. And so at a certain point I said, I think I'm gonna get rid of all my skirts.
Bring on the pantsuit.
I love a pantsuit. I want to be Katharine Hepburn. That's
Yes.
yeah, and I haven't achieved that yet. But I, but yes, I love a pantsuit. I love pants. And I had the very dramatic, almost Japanese kabuki looking outfit for the last wedding that we went to.
Such a knockout. So stylish.
Yes,
Yeah.
and so that was, and I felt, okay, I've hit it out of the park. And I
Mhm.
mean, when I walked in, and I was the groom's stepmother, so not in, but there were pictures, and I was wearing I wore the Manolo Blahniks for the last time
Mhm.
through the picture session, exchanged them before the reception for flats, and now they're on the market.
Yes.
Yeah, because I'm not going to do that anymore.
Great.
That was another thing. I'm just like, I'm going for flats here. So now I'm always on the hunt for some flats that have good arch support. And
Yeah.
I got some really cute Keds too, red Keds. They really
Oh,
look,
that's so
yeah,
fun.
I haven't really, brought them out to play that much, but yeah, pretty excited about that.
Let's talk about some like cosmetic stuff. So you had
Yeah.
some sunspots removed, but
Yes, from my hands actually,
okay.
and I've had it done several times actually, um, and I started this when I was in my late 40s maybe,
Okay.
and when I went into the office with these spots all over my hands where they burned them off, they lasered them off.
Mm-hmm.
I said to people, this is not contagious. I've just had some cosmetic work done on my hands. And half the women in the room got up and left and went to call their dermatologist.
I'm looking at my hands right now, like, now that I have readers on and can see the spots.
Yes, there you go.
Yeah.
So yeah, and I was extremely happy with that. And I had a laser happy dermatologist back in those days. And so she took all the little red spots that you get with age too, and she kind of zapped those. And so anything that showed, she just took care of. And most recently, I actually, let me get, because I'm reversed here. Yeah, I had a spot lasered off here. It was, it was very noticeable. And
Mm-hmm.
now it's gone.
And now it's gone. And that's
Yeah.
really the extent of what you had.
Oh, and then I had my earlobe. This is extremely important. I know we kind of went away from this, but basically, it's very unattractive, first of all, but it's also very aging. Earlobes get flabby
Hmm.
as they get older, but and then if you've had your ears pierced, they kind of shift a little bit. So the one on this ear was actually further back than where it is
Okay.
now.
Okay.
And I wanted to buy the earrings that I have on now, the little diamonds. And
Yeah.
I have very small earlobes. I've always had small earlobes. Anyway, I wanted to buy the diamond earrings, but I wasn't happy with putting them in the holes that I had. And so before I started, I think I bought them, but before I started wearing them, I went to my dermatologist, who is a magician, and she did a repair. So what that involves is actually surgically repairing the hole in your ear so it doesn't exist anymore.
Piercing hole, like this hole, she repaired it.
Yeah, because basically mine was done with a needle and thread at the doctor's office, and it wasn't a nice, neat little punched hole.
As a child or a young adult.
16.
At
Yeah, it's
age
16.
16. Right. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. So, but I mean, I wore really heavy earrings and I did a lot of things, and I wasn't happy with the holes. And I always wore posts so that people wouldn't see the holes. As I got older, I started wearing only posts. No, because I didn't like the way the loops looked, even with a very light earring. So when I went into my dermatologist at one point, and she said, "Oh yeah, I do this all the time. I basically just repair the earlobe, and I won't go into too much detail there, but it's not painful. And when you come out, you have a little tiny Band-Aid on your ears. And 6 weeks later, you go back in and they punch the holes where you want them. And they're their nice little punch with the earring. And she's very cute. She said to me, yeah, I'm going to give you diamond and gold earrings. So it has a little diamond chip in it, the ones that put in my ears. And then you just do as you did when you were a teenager, whatever, you turn them and, you put the ointment on and stuff. And so I had some nice holes, but my ears had started getting sort of saggy. My earlobes got saggy, so that the earring would, even this little light earring, kind of fell down. And so this trip, I said I had been doing these podcasts and we'd been talking about earlobe reconstruction. And she said, well, I do filler too. I said, fill her up.
So you have earlobe filler.
Filler.
Yeah.
It's not Botox. Botox is something different. It kills the nerves, or it numbs the nerves. But yeah, it's just like a filler that they put in to lips, I guess, and stuff. Anyway, she said, that should last you a long time. So I'm kind of counting on it. But yeah, I mean, literally, she said, I had taken the earrings out for the surgery because no earrings or no jewelry, no fingernail polish, none of that stuff. They don't want that in the surgical theater. So I wasn't wearing earrings that whole time. So when I got home, when we were going to go out to eat the other night, I put my earrings in and showed them to my husband. And he's like, oh my God, that's amazing. As I was putting it in, he's like, yeah, so what? And I put it in, he's like, oh my God, that is amazing. And that's how I feel about it.
Yeah.
Amazing.
Amazing. And these
Amazing.
things, like, I didn't even know this existed. And that's why we're having this conversation, is to just open up people's concepts of, with next level aging, what can it be like and what do you want? And just imagining what's possible, to look and feel and be comfortable in your skin.
So, here's another thing I wanted to mention. My eyebrows are still my own eyebrows. They don't have any pencil on them or anything. It's just one of those flukes of nature. But a friend of mine had to have some serious eye surgery. And the surgical tape, when they pulled it off, it pulled her eyebrows off.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah. So basically, she was having to draw on her eyebrows, every time she wanted to go out in good company. So she went, there are people who do permanent facial things. And she took a picture because she had some kind of quirky eyebrows. That was her look. I mean, that was what her eyebrows looked like. And so they actually kind of tattooed, I think it's the same as the tattoo, her eyebrows.
Wow.
Back on. So it's not, it's so much better, because otherwise, as she got older and older, she's having to draw her eyebrows on.
Right. So it just makes it easier for her day in, day out.
Yeah, exactly. She just, and I just do recommend that. But just be sure that you take a picture in with you so that it's your look. Because I saw someone who had alopecia, a young man, and they gave him very arched eyebrows, and I didn't think that they looked
They didn't look natural for his
It
face or
didn't
what they
look
looked like.
natural
Yeah.
for his face, and
Yeah.
he could never. He'd been going through this since his teen years, and he could never get comfortable with just going bald. Which was a very sad. It's sad, but anyway, he had it done, and I felt like basically the eyebrows didn't match the face. But in her case, it was simply because something had happened and she didn't have her eyebrows anymore. I mean, she
Yeah.
had them very thin. They just didn't grow back.
Yeah.
So that's something else that is available. And I wanted to mention someone that I haven't seen the results of it, but who had kind of a wobbly neck, and that had always bothered her, and she had that done. So she had that taken in so that she had a firmer chin line, and I'm guessing that every time she looks at herself in the mirror, she's very pleased that she did that.
Yes. Well, I have somebody that who shall remain nameless, who also had their neck done because they had been very sensitive about it for a long period of time. And then apparently one of my children called up on their lap and asked, "Why is your neck so gooey?" Oh my God. Which I was not privy to that conversation, but it was just
No.
enough to tip them over the edge. And they were also very satisfied with
Yeah.
themselves.
Yeah.
And then the small lines.
Yes,
between
and I have
not
another
that.
friend. Yes, I have another friend who just her resting face had those lines. That was
Mhm.
part of her resting face. And she went to like a shoot 'em up party, whatever, and she didn't have it done then, but the person said, you can get rid of those without, and still be able to shrug, do this and stuff like
Yeah.
that. And it was so natural looking. I mean, I hadn't seen her for a number of years. We ran into each other. We live in different towns. I happened to be in the same town with her briefly, and we ran into each other. And so we went and had coffee, and she said, "Do you notice anything different?" And quite honestly, I didn't. And she said those lines, and I'm like, oh my God. So, and I know someone else, a younger person, who had people saying, "Are you mad at your food?" It's when they would, there would be the lines there, just,
Yeah.
why are you mad at your food? So basically, this is something, and it literally does not affect your ability to, smile or whatever.
Right. Express yourself and
Express yourself.
right.
Yeah. And a lot of these things are not forever, which is probably a good thing in some cases. But anyway, there are so many things that you can check out. And this place to start is a dermatologist, if you have a good one.
So because they have all the tricks and tools in their toolbox for any kind of cosmetic-y option for people.
Yes. Yeah.
So let's shift to more of some of the fun, I think lighter, emotional things that have contributed to you feeling like you're aging well, and just with this next level aging. Because one of the things that you said in your notes is just one of the most important things in your life right now is being aware, and to have an
Oh,
aware
yes.
life.
Yeah.
What does that mean?
Yeah, a few years ago, and I think I started listening to this. I heard Dan Harris talk about his book, 10% Happier. Now, that's kind of a tongue-in-cheek thing that he said. I've got the book on audio. The other thing is, in my aging process, I don't read as many books. I listen to books. I listen to books all the time. And so so anyway, I listened to his book, and I think I actually even ended up buying it because I wanted to refer to it. And he has a podcast, and so I started following his podcast, and eventually I subscribed because there's a lot in there where you don't have to listen to ads. And so I am not a person, I have been dragged to meditation sessions with friends and thought I was going to die until they brought out the snacks. You know, I'm like, what are the snacks? I mean, I just was like, no, this is not for me. And I always thought meditation is not for me.
Mhm.
I even was invited to go listen to the Dalai Lama one time.
Yeah.
And I was really appreciative, and I've read his book, one of his books, and all this kind of stuff. So, you know, but the idea of meditating was not for me.
Mhm.
And so then I got this app, and, you know, basically there are walking meditations, 5 minute, 1 minute, and they're saying, you know, basically you don't have to fall down the rabbit hole for it to be helpful. And I know you have encouraged many of the people that you work with to do a gratitude journal,
Mhm.
and seniors especially that you worked where they've
Yes.
lived, you know, to rather than hit the call button, start with a gratitude
Yes.
exercise. And I tried doing that, and I couldn't come up with one darn thing to be grateful. You can lead a horse to water, but you can't make them drink. Anyway, I just didn't feel grateful. I just did not. And then I get these 5-minute meditations. They're like, you woke up this morning, didn't you? Are you grateful for that, or are you not grateful for that? I'm like, yeah, I'm sort of grateful.
Right.
And then you're breathing. Just look at your body. You're breathing. Your heart is beating. And I'm like, oh, well, if you count that stuff, yeah, okay. But I was joking with one of my friends. I had a little notebook, and I started a gratitude journal, and I got to 1 the first day. And she and I were howling with laughter that I couldn't even get to 3 things to be grateful for. And now that is, I mean, it takes a little bit of work, a little bit of practice. And in a little bit, I'm going on faith that it's a good thing to do.
Mm.
Is there was something on Facebook recently about glimmers,
Yeah.
you know, where it being the opposite of negative thoughts is like when you have a happy thought or something amazing happens,
Yeah.
and just being aware enough to pick up on that is something I think after I'm over 1,000, I don't know, 1,000 hours of meditation or something like that, a very high number anyway, over a very long period of time. But I'm starting to be more aware. And the thing about your mind and how it really works you over, you know, like your mind is like this little lying, cheating thing. And it's like, and
Yeah.
you and worrying. And then one of the teachers was like, well, okay, what is the worry that you have? How is it useful to you? What useful role does it play?
Like, how is it actually serving you to worry about it?
Yes,
Yeah.
exactly. And that it's taken, I mean, it's like it's a work just a little bit by little bit, but you know, you catch yourself washing dishes and going over that conversation that you had,
Mhm.
you know, and what you should have said and what you could have said, and
Mhm.
you know, and well, am I the jerk or are they the jerk? You know.
Oh my gosh. So I think there's like a whole influencer, and their whole thing is, am I the asshole?
Yes. And it's just like, and maybe nobody's the asshole.
And
Maybe
maybe,
it's,
yeah.
yeah, maybe kind of remembering and worrying. Now, what is that person gonna, how are they gonna be when I see them the next time? And, you know, is there anything I need to do? Anyway, just like all that stuff and many other things, like worrying about, like I said in my little essay that I don't think I've posted yet on my cataract surgery. I had the operation 2001 times.
Right. In your mind.
2,000 times in my mind and once in the hospital.
Right.
And the best one, the easiest one, was the one in the hospital.
Right.
The one that actually got the job done. So all that other worrying, like I'm going to go blind, I might go blind, you know.
Right. Right.
You know,
Yeah.
all that worry really, you know, anyway, so I've really moved a long way down the path of being mindful, and working on gratitude and being grateful for just, you should see my basil plants. You know?
Right. And that's right. It can just be just the most pedestrian. Is that the right word? Mundane,
Yeah,
everyday
mundane. I mean,
thing.
we want to move from this apartment, not because there's not things we do. We like the place, but it's, you know, could be time to move when we sell it. But that view we have from our dining room and our little balcony off the dining room is just 3/4 of the year. It's just spectacular. And
Yeah, it's beautiful.
yeah. So anyway, meditation doesn't have to be this 7-day silent workshop. That is not for me, you know. But I recently was talking to you about something called AWE,
Right.
awe.
Yes.
And these guys have written a book about it, but it's, the first thing is to be aware, you know, pick a focus, be aware, pick something, maybe it's the painting behind you or something like that. Then basically wait. That's just give it a few seconds and then exhale. Because apparently exhaling does different things to our body. And the authors had been doing a workshop and they were trying to get people to meditate 10 minutes a day. And the people were like, that is not going to happen.
Like, let me just,
Absolutely. Yeah. Let me just be clear about that. That is not going to happen. 10 minutes a day, I would die. It would kill me, you
right.
know, to do that.
Right.
So they're saying, okay, well, try this. Focus on something that is pleasing to your eye. Wait. Don't move away from it. Wait. Looking at it, then
Exhale. Yeah.
exhale. And they said at the end of the workshop, whatever they were working on, they had some kind of test or something. Anyway, the people who had done this scored better on their worriness or whatever it was that they were working on than the people who had done the 10 minutes a day meditation.
Wow. That's
Yeah.
so cool.
And they said it changes. I mean, one of the guys is an MD, and that's not, doesn't mean that they know everything. But basically, his thing is it changes your body,
Your physiology and the cellular, what's happening. Yeah. Yeah.
And so there's a couple of things. One is, you know, I've got my husband hugging me for 30 seconds a day. and we listen so that we don't go crazy, because 30 seconds is actually a long time. Just try it sometime if you think it's not uncomfortably long.
Right.
And so we listen to, basically, I put out phrases from a meditation. It's just, may I be kind, may I be helpful, may I be healthy, that kind of thing. And then may you be kind, may you be joyful, may you be, anyway. And that, so the thing from my saying, are you ready for a hug, to my saying thank you at the end, is this meditation. So the whole thing lasts about 35 to 37 seconds, which is a long time if you're just hanging on to somebody.
Right.
And we do that every day, and he loves it. He really, really likes it. And so I'm happy about that, because apparently that's supposed to do something. So my thing is this: what they say in the book, what they say when they write about it, is basically, yeah, do this 10 times a day. Well, folks, 10 times a day is not going to happen. And if that's what it takes, most people are not going to make it.
Right.
So do it once a day. Do it once a day. Just concentrate and try to be focused. As your mind is floating around, just try to focus on what you're doing. And let the mind just keeps going on. It's got a life of its own. And then when you notice that, bring yourself back. And I do think it's made an enormous difference in my interactions with people, and also how I feel about myself.
Well, I agree, because it's been kind of a long road with you moving out of the country and, leaving a corporate attorney job and transitioning to this retirement life, and
setting up a
there was one
website.
point, right. And there was one point I said, it just feels like you're just angry all the time. And your response, and I don't know if you remember this, but your response was, well, maybe that's just how I am now.
Oh,
Have you thought
I'm
of
not that way
And I was
anymore.
oh, this
I'm
is
not
how you
that
are?
way anymore. I'm a lot funnier now.
Oh my gosh. But like, I think that the meditation, the hug, the meditation, the attempts at gratitude and the walking, like, I do think it has all added up. But I mean, I'm a huge work in progress. I am still working on it, right? I just really want to emphasize to people that at all of our ages, we have stress. And at all of our ages, we continue to take our human mind with us along. So my teenage children, have their own doubts and worries and thoughts. And then in middle ages, I'm right here. And then in your 70s, 80s, 90s, that doesn't change.
No,
and I share that.
Yeah.
Just to emphasize some empathy, because I think often we get into very logistical mode when we're trying to help people that we're taking care of. We get into, caregiving mode and things like that. And it's like, there's a lot happening in someone's head at every age. So,
well, there is that. And I wanted to talk a little bit about basically this thing about living right now, as opposed to like worrying about the future, for one thing. And it's just like many people have passed away this last year and a half.
Yeah.
And some of them extremely unexpected. And it's one of those things where you're saying, and one of the things that, like, the Stoics encourage is for people to think about their death. I'm not as smart as I sound there. I heard that on a podcast. But, basically, and you had me, say, what happens when you die? And so and there talking about you can't live in the past, you can't live in the future. You have to, the goal here is to stay in the present. And so that you're not worrying about as if you could do something about, well, what happens when I die? Or, like, when is that going to be? I just remember my father reading in the newspaper about that his, basically the guy who cut his hair died, and he was only, 84. I don't know, I mean, it's just like, and my own doctor is saying, he has a friend who's a doctor in the emergency room, and he said, people come in here with dire, fatal problems, and their family always acts so shocked when I come out and say that he passed away. Why is this a surprise? Why is death such a surprise? And in the meantime, we'll focus on right now. I mean,
Right.
it's just like, and be happy about right now. So that, I mean, it's like, it's kind of I'm not expressing it very well, but
Yeah.
I'm just saying, I'm learning that also.
And I think that you are expressing it beautifully. I think part of it is that you have also planned, right? You have crossed the T's and dotted the I's, and you've done the paperwork, and you've thought through. We're going to have another episode on different scenarios, like kind of running scenarios and how you've prepared for those things. So I think part of the capacity to have that ability is there has been some preparation. And so that has offered beautiful relief, right? You've thought about the finances, you've made arrangements. We're talking about the illegal things we're going to do in wine country.
I don't think they're illegal. I've done I'm a lawyer. I've done some research
all over the world.
And the ashes can be scattered in public places.
Yes.
And actually, just to touch on that, yes, I want to be cremated. Though there is a wonderful story about a woman who was, that a friend of mine told me. Anyway, she was quite a believer in the afterlife and was thinking that she would see her husband, and hopefully she did. Hopefully they ended up in the same place. But anyway, so about 20 minutes before she died, she got up and put her lipstick on because she didn't want to see him without her lipstick on. Is that a wonderful story?
A wonderful story. Yeah. And I think that brings us full circle. We have one more topic, and I think we're going to do another episode, Mom. Like that one, X-rated episode. So just leave a little cliffhanger.
Let's just throw it out there. I wanted to talk about sex.
Yeah, cliffhanger.
Yeah.
Let's wait.
Okay.
Let's wait. It's a teaser. Literally, figuratively. Putting the lipstick on. I think this has been such a great conversation. We've talked about next level aging part 3, just fun stuff to do at every age, but especially when you're old. That's what you titled the blog post. So thanks for participating. And I think we've got at least 2 or 3 more episodes coming up together.
Yeah, we'll have to do that one before we do the when I die.
Yeah, the scenarios.
Try to keep them in order.
Yeah. Well, I love you. Thanks for
I love you too, honey.
All right.